Good morning, chickens. Good morning, sheepy sheeps. And good morning to all you fine folks as well. Today is, what is today? 24th of January. Absolutely gorgeous out here. We are in Chinook season. Yes, it's got to be +1, +2. Absolutely beautiful. You would not believe it. We have a creek that flows kitty corner across our entire property. And right now there's open flowing water in the creek. End of January. Unheard of. Well, I shouldn't say unheard of, but anyways, this is what we get. And on top of that, the very, very south end of our property line where it crosses the road is even flooding out. Strange things, I tell you. It's kind of funny because just yesterday my wife was saying in frustration, you know, why do we live here? Oh, it's so windy on top of this hill. You know, and I'll give her credit. There are days when the wind really, it can eat your love of the view for breakfast. And so having a beautiful outlook across McNeil Lake and out to the Rocky Mountains and Saskatoon Mountain over here can very quickly, well, you can't enjoy it. If you can't be on the front deck and look out at it without getting your face torn off by the wind, it's not a lot of fun. But there's other advantages than just, you know, aesthetics, I guess. The fact of the matter is, we're at, I don't know what kind of level. We must be easily 100, 120 feet higher than the neighbors to the south, elevation-wise. And so while they're packing their water wings and, you know, pulling stuff out of the basement, every time they flood, every time the water level comes up, we're sitting here high and dry. And so to have, you know, 300 days of the year where we're tucked in the house, safe and secure, hiding from the wind, it sure beats, you know, 60 odd days of the year where you're out there down in the bottom having to manage water. I just came over here to check on these. These are our mature lambs, we'll call them. And looks like somebody's got themselves stuck in the feeder. So we're gonna go on a bit of a rescue mission here. All right, sheepy sheep, what do you got going on here? Okay, there you go. I tell you, some days it's hard to keep these sheep alive when they do everything they possibly can to die. They really do. Literally try and hang themselves in a feeder. But anyways, that fella's probably only got about a month left. And anyways, he's going to be in. That's the one that's cute. That's the one that's going into our freezer. And then there's 3 more that we're going to sell off to customers for direct meat sales. And the rest of these are girls. And they were born late in the year. They were late May, early June. So they're going to cycle over till next year's for breeding cycle. But they were just not mature enough for breeding this year. Anyways, the reason I really wanted to come over here was not just to check on them and free somebody from entrapment, but I wanted to check on this fence here. You'll recall from yesterday I did some zip tie work. So what was happening here was, you can see this dip right here with the page wire. There's a few of them like that along the way. And this strand of barbed wire wasn't here. There was this strand of barbed wire and this page wire. And the sheep could get its head through here. And it was folding this over and applying pressure until eventually they just walked through and went and nibbled on the hay bale. Naughty, naughty, right? So I added this other strand of barbed wire right here, hopefully as a deterrent, because it was going to hit them right around head level, right around there. Well, that didn't work because they could still get through right here. And as you can see, this went right over their back. One pass with a woolly sheep, and that just renders any barbed wire completely useless. So I thought, okay, well, how can I enhance this a little bit? So what I did is I just used this barbed wire, which was under a lot of tension. I made it really, really tight. And I just used these industrial strength zip ties so that now you can't really apply any lateral pressure on the page wire and then it just buckle and fold out of the way. It's actually held up and in position. And thankfully, all the sheep were on that side of the fence this morning. Now, let me tell you, this beautiful weather that we're having right now, I mean, look at that. It's just gorgeous out there, right? Has me itching big time. to think about the garden and getting seeds started in the house. Now, in previous years, we haven't had great luck starting seeds in the house. And the reason being is because we've got that deck and then the overhang and everything. So we'll plant seed starts in one of our front windows, and they come up and they do really well. And then they just kind of, oh, I want some sunshine. And then they start reaching, and then they just go bleh, like that. And so they get too leggy, and then they outrun themselves, and then they don't survive. And it's really a shame. But one of our viewers, Logan, actually yesterday we were talking about this, and he shared with me the link for a set of lights that he uses for growing indoors. And I thought, man, like, this is the potential we could unlock. So I'm going to leave the link to that. I think it's on Amazon, but I'm going to leave the link to it in the description down below. And it opens up. I'm going to order a set and see about getting, you know, some herbs, maybe some salad greens, things like that, and get that started. Because I mean, right now we're in the end of January, and we're reliant on pretty much the root vegetables at this point in time that we planted over the summer to, you know, to take us this far into the winter. And if we want things like salad greens, well, we're looking at imported products. And, you know, as you probably know, if you watch for any length of time, that's not really my cup of tea, because I think it's got a lot of carbon mileage on it. I think there's an awful lot of waste. Not really a good use of good use of our food network. So to be able to grow some of that stuff indoors in our own house, out of season, I'm pretty excited about it. But on that subject of the food network and food waste, big announcement. Some of you maybe already heard this. For those that haven't, though, I'm just going to plug it anyways. This Friday, January 28th, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, tune in to Bloom Family Farm or Kirkfell Farm. We're going to be doing a live episode, joint live episode between the two channels, and we're going to talk about something that should have been, I mean, it's an elephant in the room, big time. We're going to talk about the consumer impact on livestock, the environment, and the economy. Yes, three, you know, the holy trinity of farming, the triumvirate, the three big questions that really need to be answered, or really need to be talked about if we're ever to make any kind of change into the way that we interact with animals. If we're ever going to curb food waste, if we're ever going to change the climate change perspective, we need to have this discussion. So yes, tune in January 28th, 8 p.m. That's this Friday. Put it in your calendar. Don't miss out. Kirkfell Farm and Bloom Family Farm. We will be live. So we're just down here in the bottom. This is where the creek actually comes through. As you can see, you can't see it moving on the top, but it's made its way through there. It's undercut the snow, and it's running through the bush over there. Pretty interesting. Anyways, you can see there's a little bit of snow left here, and I'm going to try and get the buggy over and around. Take Charlotte for a bit of a rip out in the field. Maybe enjoy a little bit of a warm evening here while we have an hour of daylight left. Anyways, hopefully I don't bury the skidoo in the snow. So this is really interesting. We're down here by one of our dugouts, and I was by here with Charlotte not 2 days ago, and this dugout was dry. This was empty this summer because we went through that massive drought. It was bone dry, and lo and behold, with all that bit of snow melting, it looks like we're about half full. So that's interesting. I mean, that's really, really good. I'm very, very happy about that. But I think I'm going to skidoo over to the other dugout and just see how that one's making out. But pretty exciting anyways to see. I was worried about this because how are the dugouts going to replenish themselves if all this water ran off and got to the lake? But thankfully there's enough in the wide open fields here that ran in, and it's looking hopeful. It's definitely looking hopeful for next spring, for subsoil moisture, for water reserves for the cows and the sheep. Pretty happy about that. Well, I think that's enough chores for one day. So me and Princess Fairy Tinkerbell here, that's your name, right? Yeah. We're going to make some spaghetti for supper. So I'll let you go for now. Hope you have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.